I'm so mad right now that the video I spent 2 weeks editing got copyright claimed. And because I'm using a free editing software, I'm limited on how many minutes I can export from my videos. So for the moment, I can't actually edit, but I did want to get something out there. So that's what we're doing.
You know what I really hate? The world building in Harry Potter.
Pause here for title card. Yep. Tell me about it.
Okay, so Harry Potter, the magical world celebrates both Halloween and Christmas. And the Halloween celebrations and the Christmas celebrations both use very common Muggle, so to speak, decorations, stuff like that. Like, the Halloween has bats and pumpkins and whatnot, and Christmas has Christmas trees and Christmas songs, I think.
It's weird how similar the Muggle celebrations and the Wizarding World celebrations are when they're supposed to be separate.
Yeah, and supposed to have been separated since the 1600s, when Christmas, as, I'm sure you know, wasn't celebrated at all like the way it is today.
Right.
They wouldn't have had Christmas trees. That's not a thing until the Victorian period, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
And Halloween is there's a lot of, different things, but, I don't know, there's just something disturbingly familiar about it for a world that has been separated since the 1600s, at least.
I can give them a pass on the Halloween thing, because the celebrations we use for Halloween goes back even further than the celebrations.
True. But pumpkins are not traditional.
Right.
I would feel better about it if they had giant turnips.
Pumpkins only became traditional once everyone came to America.
Yeah, because it's native to the Americas.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that's annoying to me. I just think about that constantly, all the time.
Yeah, when they made
I can't go to work anymore.
Yeah, when they made their, oh shoot, I got pop-ups. Go away. When they first started doing jack-o'-lanterns, it was originally root vegetables like turnips and potatoes.
Mango wurzels.
Mango wurzels! I need a mango wurzel.
Yeah. I would feel better about it if J.K. Rowling put, some amount of effort into discussing how Muggle traditions crossed over with the influx of Muggle-born wizards,
Yeah.
But no, who needs that? That's only one of the more interesting parts of how you can create an entire hidden world. It's more important to discuss how plumbing came to be in Hogwarts than to discuss cultural...
Oh my god, the plumbing!
Crossover.
Oh, the plumbing!
It's wizards just shit themselves before the late 1700s.
Okay, but when did they put in the rule that you can't use magic on your own until you're 17?
Well, they have the statute of secrecy that became a thing in, early, mid-1600s. It was basically a really big thing after the Salem witch trials. Which weren't even the main witch trials. There were more witch trials in, the 15 or 1400s, but who cares about that? When you just have Salem witch trials, right?
But Steph, think about it. So for at least 300 to 400 years, anyone who is not 17 would
had to ask a teacher or a parent or just break the, law in order to pass waste. I can't even say use the bathroom because I'm assuming they didn't have bathrooms before that.
Yeah, well, we know they didn't because that's what it says on Pottermore.
Yeah, and I feel not only that, but Hogwarts seems like the kind of place that would have started the whole having toilets thing. I cannot picture, pure blood families who are all, obsessed with blood supremacy being oh yes, we decided to start using this Muggle invention entirely on our own. I'm assuming that came about after students went to Hogwarts and it became normalized for them, and it was really fucking convenient to just not have to ask your parent or teacher to clean your butt for you.
Imagine
Because
Being
not only that, but they wouldn't have gotten ones until they were 11.
Yep. So could you imagine
11-year-olds were not potty trained.
Could you
in
imagine
Hogwarts.
sitting in class and then you shitting yourself
and then being like, Professor Snape, can you... I mean, it wouldn't have been Professor Snape, obviously, because he comes after the whole introduction of toilets, but, like...
Still, it'd be like,
there would have
Professor,
been a Snape there.
Can you please magic away my shit?
Yeah, like, I mean, that would have been very convenient. Like, but, like, toilets existed prior to, like... I mean, not, like, flush toilets.
I mean,
but plumbing was a thing.
Right, it was a thing, but the history
Everywhere.
of toilets is a bit more complicated than that.
I mean...
Because it took a very long time for them to have public woman restrooms. So for a while, women would just be forced to kind of stand over a gutter and just pee and shit.
Well, it would have been easier because they wouldn't have been wearing underwear because underwear wasn't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took, like, actual pee-ins and poop-ins to protest. Like, a bunch of women would just get together and shit on a lawn in public, and they'd be like,
nice.
This is why we need
public
toilets for women. But I think part of it, this might be a bit more cynical, but you can really control your child's actions if they have to come to you every time they need to use the bathroom.
So do you think J.K. Rowling actually thought of that? Or do
No.
you think she was just shitting out whatever?
I think she was just shitting out whatever. But I think that's a really interesting thought because I know with my GI problems, I have to be careful not to go any further than an hour from the house if there's no bathroom. And I could imagine that it would be... Like, I'm sure people... normal people aren't shitting every hour. Well, people without GI problems aren't shitting every hour. But, like, you would still have to rely on your parents or an adult. You wouldn't be able to have the freedom to go out and do what you want.
Yeah.
Even when you're, like, 16 years old.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because they would have been able to, like, drink slightly earlier, but they wouldn't have necessarily been able to, magic away their own shit. Also, how complicated do you think that magic is? Like, it depends, when would they have even learned it? Would it be one of the first things everyone gets taught because it's so necessary for daily life? Or if it sounds like it's slightly more complicated magic, so, like, they would probably learn it after Wingardium Leviosa. So,
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it would be the first spell you would learn.
Just out of convenience.
Because without learning that spell, you wouldn't be able to have any independence.
Yeah. So I'm glad they included toilets eventually.
Eventually.
Dumbledore... Dumbledore would have gone to Hogwarts after toilets were invented. But the headmaster he was working under as a professor of Defense Against the Dark Arts probably wouldn't have had toilets.
Yeah, no.
I don't remember the exact timeline, but, like, yeah. I mean, but, like, chamber pots and different things, like, medieval like, pretty much every city had some form of plumbing.
I mean, yeah, the first instance of, like, a citywide...
Like, it wasn't complicated.
Plumbing system was in Sumeria.
Yeah, and...
In the Mesopotamian region.
And plus, also, did every wizard do that? Or was it just European wizards? Was it just British wizards?
Well, you know it wasn't... It was just British wizards, because J.K. Rowling... is only capable...
Only thinks about British wizards?
Yes.
Like, she has to specifically devote time to thinking about other cultures. That makes sense.
And then she puts her foot in her mouth.
Yeah, because, yes, because all the Native Americans were, like, very tribal. Like, they just all lived in tribes, and their magic, while very... like, technical, and while their potions were very impressive compared to European ones, they just weren't good at the real magic.
Oh my god.
They weren't good at the cool, really great, powerful magic, because why would they be? they didn't have wands.
Honestly.
Also, the animagus forms allowed them to hunt, and their magical abilities were used to be like medicine men or hunters. So
it's
that's
just
great.
Really
I mean, there's no other like societal structure in Native American tribes, and there's not even more than one tribe, I'm pretty sure. This is sarcasm, by the way.
Her whole description of Native American wizarding world really reminds me of the noble savage stereotype.
Yeah.
And I hate it. It's terrible. Can you actually learn something? Like, it's not that hard to pick up a book. You wrote books, read one!
Yeah, also, it's kind of insane because, okay, so J.K. Rowling depicts it as, oh, just as many people had a problem with Native American wizards in Native American society as people had problems with wizards in European society. So, like, it was, like, the exact same sort of thing. Like, they were also persecuted, but, like, a lot of the specific persecution against witches and wizards and magic in European society is a sort of heavily
product of
heavily influenced by
Puritans.
Yeah, and Christianity and stuff like that. So I don't see why groups of people who would have had completely different religion, and also they're, from what I can recall of some vague research, which isn't very comprehensive or anything, there is a lot of stories about magic and whatnot in different forms, so I feel like their society would just be different, and also I feel like limiting all witches and wizards to medicine men or hunters is
noble savage.
What other positions in society could they have possibly had?
It's really annoying given the vast differences in Native American society.
Yeah,
especially when it comes...
Do you think the Aztecs had a different societal structure than the Cherokee or Iroquois? Do you think, Rin?
Not according to J.K. Rowling. But what's really annoying is when you take time to study Native American religion and mythology, is they have an entirely different approach to magic and working with the world.
There's not exactly a verse that specifically in their holy books comparable to the Bible, which I'm guessing there's not a lot of specific things that are comparable to the Bible just because different societies have different religion and stuff. There's not exactly a verse in that says, "Suffer not the witch to live."
Exactly.
Also, the one magical school in South America, the major one that is, J.K. Rowling mentions that there are several smaller, unaccredited institutions that pop up from time to time across the world, but there's only 11 major institutions, and 3 of those are in Europe, which has the most people, I'm sure. I'm sure that's the reason why there's 3 in Europe.
I wouldn't even want to see her try and tackle Wizarding World in Asian society.
She does! Conveniently.
Oh, no! Okay. Does she at least make a distinction between East Asian, Southeast Asian, Indian,
they have
Middle East?
At least one in Japan, and I think one in Southeast Asia, maybe, but I can't remember specific. I can just Google it.
Yeah, you have the phone right there.
Yeah.
I'm so scared to hear.
Funnily enough, the one magical school in Harry Potter that's in South America is called Castelo Bruxo or something, which is a Spanish word. It's in Brazil. Or maybe it's a Portuguese. That would make more sense for Brazil. But alright, but there are several native, indigenous societies that were really, when people think of indigenous empires in the Americas, they do think of the Incans, Mayans, and Aztecs. That's what I first learned about in school.
Yeah.
But, like, can you imagine them having their own wizarding schools? What a silly concept. I'm sure it's something the Spaniards or the Portuguese brought over instead.
I wonder if, given how open their religions are to magic, or like the influence of the different gods, I wonder if there even needed to be a separate wizarding school, because it would be like, oh, this is just normal.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. It'd be nice if J.K. Rowling mentioned something like that, but no, I'm sure wizards were just as persecuted in Native American societies as they were under puritanical societies. I'm sure that's perfectly normal.
Yeah. I think it's just really annoying because she's looking at all of these different societies and trying to create like an alternate history for each of them, but she's approaching it from a Western idea of like needing logic.
Not only that, I feel like she's approaching it from a very grade school understanding of history. Like there's it doesn't feel like there's any further research. Like apparently in the African school of
single school,
I think.
A single school for one of the
Ugado,
largest
it's
continents.
in Uganda apparently. Well, they started using wands, a uniquely European concept, apparently, as the Wizarding World website says, like about a century ago. And why would they have done that? There's no reason. We're going to ignore any specific historical events that would have brought...
History of colonialism!
That would have brought uniquely European ideals into close contact with African society. We're just going to ignore all that. Also, people... Apparently, wizards have more loyalty to magic than they do to their own people. Like, a lot of the times... Like, okay, so... J.K. Rowling says that, yeah, magic does pop up in a lot of different families all over the place, even in majority Muggle families, etc., including in slaves.
Why wouldn't they use their magic to free
you
everyone?
You see, the wizards, and take them.
Wait, so they take the enslaved wizards and witches, but they won't.
I mean, I remember reading this on Pottermore. Exactly, I remember reading this on Pottermore. And, I mean, Pottermore has now become the Wizarding World website or whatever.
It's very
I don't care
annoying
that much,
because there were several slave revolts that happened in America.
And do you think growing up under slavery, you discover this, like, power that can save you and your family?
Like, you
and prevent unimaginable suffering? And then you get taken in by this majority white group of people. Also, colonialism. Like, apparently no Native Americans decided to use their magic against settlers, or no African people decided to use their magic against settlers. Or if they did, they were stopped by other people from doing that and from revealing the secret.
Like, at that point, you're like, fuck the secret, okay?
Yeah, like, that's not really how history... Like, I feel like that's not how people work. Like, apparently, like, okay, so apparently there's different levels of how Muggle, non-magical people are or in magical people, societies are integrated. Europe tends to be more integrated. In the US, there's, like, very specific, like, separation between magical people and whatnot. Apparently, US wizards even sat out the Revolutionary War. Like, they didn't actually do any official thing, which makes sense because, I mean, who cares about the Revolutionary War? It's not that important. It's not like they were being systematically tortured and exploited for their, ability to work or anything.
I feel like if the Native Americans were gonna stand up, like, during the Revolutionary War, they sided with the British because the British treated them marginally better than the Americans were.
Yeah, plus, which the weird way that historical events are treated and ignored, brings us to the Salem witch trials. That was a big influence on everything, as everyone knows.
Yeah, 19 people died.
Did you know that it was actually caused by a group of evil wizards?
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, they're called the Scourers, and apparently in the
Okay,
pre-US Americas, since there wasn't, like, any official government or police force, they were basically the police, and they were shitty, like the police are.
Brief.
And very corrupt, and then at a certain point when the government was established, they were like, no, we want our power still, and then they decided to wage war against all the other wizards in the US, and that's why the Salem witch trials happened.
That's dumb. But brief tangent on the Salem witch trials. I'll probably do a future video on it because it's a lot more complicated than the way it gets taught. A lot of what happened had to do with economic power shifts and different religion.
A lot of the people targeted were women and old people. And
right, who
one of the first people
were the few ones who owned land
was a non-white servant, right?
Yeah, it's a really more complicated history than a bunch of people were burned at the stake. They hanged people, they didn't burn at the stake.
Burning was something they did in Europe, which didn't matter either because wizards have a specific spell that will make flames feel like tickling instead of like actually burning. So it doesn't matter either.
Everyone that died wasn't actually a witch or a wizard, and they just let it happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why would they have stopped it?
Because they're burning people alive?
The statute of secrecy, Ren. Also,
I
don't get why the statute of secrecy would have only become a thing more in the 1600s, when a lot of the bigger witch trials happened earlier. Like, the Inquisition itself happened in the 1400s, which was, like, a big thing. The Spanish Inquisition, which remains unexpected. You know the one.
Oh, yeah. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. Their chief weapons are... Yeah, so, like, I don't know, J.K. Rowling doesn't have a great grasp of history, nor how the wizarding world would intersect it.
Right?
Like,
having actual magic would change the events of so many moments. Like, let's just take Roman society. If, like, people get magic randomly or through genetics or whatever.
It's a mixture of both.
It would appear in the slave population.
Yes.
In Roman society. And there were many slave revolts in Rome.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily see, like, a slave or someone who gets power then, like, becoming this sort of, like, messiah figure, so to speak. Is that what happened with Jesus?
Oh, God.
Oh, God, I can't wait for J.K. Rowling to tweet about that one.
Hey, I just came up with this good idea. Jesus was actually a wizard.
I mean, but that would be expected, sort of.
Well, speaking about Jesus, in his time, like, the Israelites were being persecuted by the Romans, and there were many revolts then, too, like, rebellions.
Unfortunately for us,
would have changed
the wizarding world didn't exist before, generally more modern times. Renaissance, I think. Like, J.K. Rowling has very little about earlier than the 1400s. Apparently, Hogwarts itself was established in, like, the thousands.
Could you imagine how magic would change?
But, like,
the warring...
not much beyond that.
Steph, could you imagine how magic would change the warring states period in China and Japan?
Yeah, like, there's been a lot of political turmoil that, like, having literal magical powers would be, like, it wouldn't even necessarily be, oh, these people want to help stop suffering in their fellow man or whatever. It could just be this one specific person wants to take control of the world, and they're going to do that by first affecting all the, like, taking over the Muggles. No, he just wanted to kill everyone.
Oh, okay. That's better?
Yeah, but, like, But, like, wouldn't you see a lot more people... Like, okay, so in Stargate SG-1, there's that one episode about Seth the Gould, who body switches between a bunch of people throughout history, and who can be tracked throughout history by his habit of forming death cults.
Right.
And then, like, killing everyone and then starting a new one later.
Jones was Seth.
Oh my god! That makes so much... I love Stargate, like, just a little bit in my small,
Inhuman.
dark heart.
Tiny.
Yes.
Minuscule.
Yeah.
Shriveled heart.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so, like, you would expect to see something not exactly like that, but similar. Like... power-grubbing assholes have always existed throughout history, and if some of them have magic, I feel like that's just something that would happen a lot.
I think it's very telling that in the way J.K. Rowling is rewriting / ignoring historical problems, it kind of shows that, like, she's putting power in the hands of people who were oppressed, and then she's like, but they didn't do anything about it. They just went and joined wizard society.
Okay, it's like how the wizards don't care about sexuality. They are indifferent to it, thus it does not matter. It's like, it's colorblindness, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't see race, I see one race.
The
human race. Or,
God, fuck Ken Ham.
Yes. Like, it's like that, but, like, about world history and stuff. But, like, fictionalized world history with dragons.
Right, she has headcanons that she's published on Pottermore about, like, slaves having power, Native Americans having power, Africans having power. Why did they not use any of this power?
Yeah, and, like, usually I would be like, okay, so she's not going to heavily research some random headcanon she's just publishing on her website. That's fine. I mean, that's pretty normal. Like, you don't have to thoroughly and exhaustively research things that you won't even really be paid for. Although she probably will be paid for because there's probably ad revenue. I don't know how internet works.
It's magic.
It's magic, yeah. But then you get to Fantastic Beasts, which features heavily a lot of Native American
the
creatures.
Jewish Nazi!
The Jewish Nazi.
My God.
And also a really white Harlem. You know, Harlem, that famous Harlem, New York City. That famously white neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
In the 20s.
African American Renaissance? Where?
Like, where?
Oh, my God.
Like, I could ignore being an idiot when it's like, yeah, it's not that important, but she continues to, like, just write things and publish them.
It's surprising that she takes the stance that racism isn't a problem in the wizarding world.
Yeah, because blood supremacy is the real problem in the wizarding world, but not in the U.S. The U.S. is a colorblind utopia.
Yeah. Yeah.
The main problem there is the strife between the Muggles and the wizards, which I'm sure is a big problem because
she's
the
glossing
wizards
over...
have magic and Muggles have guns now.
She's glossing over
that works.
one form of racism and replacing it with a fantasy racism.
Yeah. Also homophobia. Like,
oh, God.
I mean, being gay doesn't matter to the wizards. They don't have the same random hang-ups that a heavily Christianized society has.
Then why don't we see any gay relationships?
Like, and, like, yeah, I can forgive... Well, not... Forgive is a strong word for my feelings. I can ignore Harry Potter not having any gay people because, yeah, it is from just this one kid's view. And, like, I didn't care about sexuality or anything when I was younger because I was actually asexual, so, like,
right, but
I literally never thought about it.
He gets older.
Oh, yeah, he does think... There are so many references to straight relationships. So many. So many.
Oh, but don't
like,
worry,
yeah.
Dumbledore's gay.
Yeah, I know.
There we go, we're done.
It's great how we can't even have a mention at, like, his funeral or whatever of him being gay. Would that be too much? I feel like that would be too much. Also, in the movie series that's, like, aimed towards more adult audiences and isn't from a teenager's point of view, and also specifically focuses on young, hot Dumbledore, and also specifically focuses on his nemesis / relationship with his former lover, Grindelwald, why would we ever mention that they were in love, or, like, had sexual relation? Why would we ever mention that? It's only, like, a really emotionally heavy topic that would add a lot of stuff, like, a lot of weight to the conflict. Like, you can't even, like, they didn't even have a scene where Dumbledore is asked why he can't fight Grindelwald himself, and he's just like, well, I loved him once. We don't even have
flashbacks.
that. They do have a flashback to Dumbledore and Grindelwald swearing an oath to never harm each other.
Did they say why?
No. They were just good friends, Rin!
Very good
Can't
friends.
piss off the homophobes. That sounds about right for J.K. Rowling, considering she kind of is one.
Trans people erase sexuality.
Yes, like how bi people erase, like,
Queer.
gay or lesbian people, or how asexuality erases, the concept of having sexual attraction, period.
Does she realize that trans people can be any sexuality?
Yeah, and that gender identity is in fact different from sexual identity.
I don't think
And
she
also
does.
part of gender identity is specifically societally constructed. She'd have to understand how society is constructed, Rin. And she'd also have to consider other people's viewpoints and, like, research things, and that's hard for her.
That sounds so hard.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, actually having to take care with what you're writing when you have, like, millions of fans, and you're writing for young children.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, I kind of get that when she first wrote Harry Potter, like, the first books, she didn't know she would become famous, and it was just, like, some random fantasy thing. But now she has power and influence and money, and is still writing things, even if it is poorly.
It's very poorly.
I mean, I never actually cared much for Harry Potter at all, so it's not like I'm betrayed or anything. I'm just, like, frustrated.
I really liked the 5th book. The whole having to be a secret Dumbledore army and sneaking around and trying not to get seen.
Mm.
I think I related to it, like, for the time when I was in the closet and was like, especially being at Messiah College and being like, ooh, I can't be seen doing gay things, otherwise I can lose my scholarship.
It's not like they're being homophobic. They just want to keep all those nasty gay people out of public view so that they don't harm the children and the students, the 18 to late 20s students.
So it's funny to me that
the adult students.
That she's able to write, like, that section of the book that resonates with a lot of LGBTQ plus people.
Yeah. It is always interesting.
And then turn around and be transphobic and homophobic.
Yeah, I mean, she's a TERF, so it's kind of...
yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, when you look at Rowling's, like, Harry Potter specifically, there's, like, a lot of stuff in there. There's, like, a chronic not like other girls syndrome, because...
Oh!
And, there's just, like, a lot of fat phobia, like... It's just not a good look.
Definitely not. And then, like, they have literal slavery and...
Yeah, and that's
nothing.
fine, because the slaves enjoy it, I guess, so... Wow, if only we could have saved... If only we could have, like, dealt with human slavery that way.
Honestly...
Right?
I hate the idea that, like, oh, the house elves like being slaves, because that's the same exact bullshit that Southerners pushed to justify slavery.
And it doesn't matter if the house elves like working for people or find some sort of personal fulfillment, because the main issue is that there's no rules about how you can treat house elves, leading some of them to be severely mistreated and also fired at a moment's notice, even though that's the thing that they've been brought up to believe is their entire life and worth.
Right.
Like, they're, like, and then when Hermione is like, oh yeah, I'm going to campaign for house elf rights and, like,
It's
magical creatures' rights, it's treated as a joke.
It's treated as a joke.
Also, all the other girls in Hogwarts are vain idiots.
Except for Hermione and Luna.
And Ginny.
And Ginny.
They're not like other girls.
They're not like other girls. They read books.
They do sports.
Oh my god!
But all the others are actually idiots, or Slytherins, which is close enough.
Which is really bad, because none of our main girl characters are POC, except for Cho
Yeah,
Chang.
actually, I don't think... Actually, she turns out to be a sort of Weasley... Not a Weasley traitor, necessarily, but when her friend betrays the Dumbledore's army under threat, she stands by that friend. And is thus ostracized. Also, she just felt too much about her boyfriend dying.
Yeah, she
was still crying a year later about it, so,
I can't... Oh.
Imagine feeling grief over someone's death, even up to a year later. Much like how, when Sirius Black died, it severely affected Harry Potter.
Well, yeah, I could see if that was portrayed as a sort of, okay, Harry has this problem and he needs to grow and learn to be more empathetic. But the story treats Cho Chang as if she's the problem because she can't let go.
She's too emotional.
She's so emotional.
And
she's sad.
And, like, speaking about, like, Hogwarts in general... Oh god, Hogwarts is such a bad school. Like, okay, am I the idiot who just went to a good school where the teachers didn't try to abuse the students at all? And, like...
Wait, hold up. They did tell us a lot about why being gay was wrong.
They did. So, I guess a good school is a bit of a stretch. But, like, am I the idiot who just didn't go to a terrible school? Like, I get that a lot of schools are a lot worse, and, like, a lot of people have had worse experiences. But, like, Hogwarts is the only school in England. Like, the only major school in the UK.
Maybe that's...
I feel like they can put more, resources into it.
Maybe that's part of why it's so bad, because if you don't go to Hogwarts, you have no other option. And then you have a child running around with uncontrollable magic. Well,
you can go to one of the two other schools in Europe, being, the France one and the Russia one. The Russia one is very dark artsy, which I feel like is Red Scare-ish, but I honestly don't know enough about how communism in the USSR is viewed in Britain to say for sure. Probably just, like, my American upbringing.
Yeah,
but, like, so technically they do have other options. But, like, Hogwarts is so bad. Like, also, why didn't Dumbledore just create a new class, like, called Defense or something? Like, just a new position. And it's like, oh yeah, no one can take Defense Against the Dark Arts because, we've had a lot of trouble finding qualified teachers who don't die at the end.
Yeah.
Like, just create a new class that will teach basically the same thing, but isn't, like, uses different classrooms and different offices. Right? Like, that probably would have gotten around it.
Yeah, that sounds like a simple thing that they could have done.
Dumbledore just really likes offing Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers.
I bet there's a betting pool.
Yeah, he must make a lot of money. I bet that's where he gets all that money, though. Like, he just bets on how teachers will die and he's, like, scarily accurate, and when And when he bet in Harry Potter's first year that Quirrell will be killed by Harry Potter, everyone was very suspicious about that, I'm sure. Very suspicious. Yeah, also, what's up with the Sorting Hat? Like, I mean, I know other people have talked about this in, like, a sort of, people don't just have one personality trait, you know?
Right.
So please acknowledge that.
Or multifaceted individuals.
So I read the article on Wizarding World website about the Sorting Hat, and apparently the Sorting Hat is just imbued with some of the knowledge and magic of the four founders, and is just making a decision based on which of the four founders would have wanted those students as their own. So, like, yeah, I get kind of more how people are split up, but then later in the same article, it says, the Sorting Hat is notorious for refusing to admit that it has made a mistake in its sorting of a student. On those occasions when Slytherins behave altruistically or selflessly, when Ravenclaws flunk all their exams, when Hufflepuffs prove lazy yet academically gifted, and when Gryffindors exhibit cowardice, the Hat steadfastly backs its original decision, and is often right, apparently. But, like, I would have understood it if it was like, oh, you know, like, basically it splits students up according to who would want them as a student. But then apparently, Slytherins can't behave selflessly, Ravenclaws can't be idiots, Hufflepuffs can't be academically gifted, and Gryffindors can't be, like, cowardly, because that would be weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that would be abnormal. They don't act like that. Also, why is it that Hufflepuff's main personality trait seems to be idiocy? They're weak idiots. And, like, I know J.K. Rowling specifically has a quote somewhere about how Hufflepuff is probably the best house to be in because it's all about community and helping one another. But, like, that's not how it's portrayed in the books.
At all. Not
There's,
at
like,
all.
one good Hufflepuff, maybe, Cedric Diggory, and he dies. Tonks. Two good Hufflepuffs. And they both die. They both get murdered. By the same group, too, which, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Anyways, Hufflepuffs are cowardly idiots who just believe in all the gossip, and the instant Harry Potter is rumored to be a Dark Lord, they will turn on him. Like lemmings, probably.
They're loyal. So they turn on people.
Yes.
Because they're so
They're very
loyal.
good at that.
They're so loyal.
They're just weak idiots. Or loyal. Yes, that's it. I mean, I guess if there's anything that disproves that, do comment it, but, like, that is my general impression. Do I have anything else?
Did we get everything on your list? Do you feel better now that you've got this all off your chest? It's like, oh.
Yeah, a little bit.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
That's... Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I could think of a lot more things, because I always do.
I mean, if you think of more
Constantly.
things, we could do a second video.
Yeah, that would be good, because, like, how the magical creatures are treated outside of house elves. I could also talk about that, but this will probably be a long video.
Alright.
Anyways.
Time to do the catchphrase. Hi, I was stuck in bed. You were stuck here with me, but now you may go and live your lives. Go, be cute, be gay.
Do crime.
Yeah!